Good evening, everyone. Welcome to tonight's live stream. I'm going to get started in a minute. I just need to let everybody on social media know that the stream is on the air. What's going on, Urema? Glad to see you here. I'm getting started with tonight's show a little earlier because I have someplace to go tomorrow morning. So I wanted to start tonight's show at the old school time slot. Now I'm pondering moving the live stream to another night because it seems like Friday nights are extremely flooded. You've got the business, you've got Kid Organic, you've got so many other people coming on Friday nights. So I'm pondering making a move to another night where I can get a larger viewership. So that's possibly something I'm getting ready to work on in the future as related to live streams because it looks like Friday night is a bit crowded. So I'm getting ready to make some plans to possibly move to Saturday or maybe Sunday night. That may be in the cards in the future, but it looks like Friday nights are a bit too crowded and a lot of people wind up missing my content. So I'm going to get ready to get into tonight's topic. And tonight's topic is where I'm asking the critical question: is Jonathan Majors a Hollywood man in crisis? Now, anybody who has been watching this channel knows that I have made multiple videos about the Hollywood historical men in crisis in relation to my critically acclaimed book, The Man Crisis. And the book, The Man Crisis, is all about the detailing all of the things that lead to a man being in crisis. And I have to say that possibly actor Jonathan Majors could possibly be a man in crisis. Now, Jonathan Majors was on his way to becoming an A-list star, I believe, on the level of Denzel Washington, becoming an A-lister who possibly was on the road to becoming a $20 million a picture actor. However, it looks like there's a scandal going on as related to an alleged, and I do mean alleged, domestic violence incident between Jonathan Majors and his girlfriend that could possibly wind up derailing Jonathan Majors' entire Hollywood career, and that could possibly lead to him going on a downward spiral, which is the paradigm that has destroyed the lives of many of these men in crisis. I have detailed in my classic series, the Hollywood Historical Men in Crisis series. And when I look at Jonathan Major's background, he's definitely starting to fit within the pattern and profile for beta males from what I have read about him in his early life. Now, Jonathan Majors was born in Santa Barbara County, California, and he spent his early years living with his mother, who was a pastor, and that was a major red flag for me because according to the Bible, women are not allowed to teach or preach the gospel under the standards of the Most High. So Jonathan Majors is starting out living with a feminist, indoctrinated woman, and he's in that home with his older sister and younger brother. And the father, who was with them for some time, just sort of disappeared one day and then resurfaced 17 years later. And that really starts laying the foundation for Jonathan Majors possibly being on the road to becoming a beta male, because oftentimes when you have beta males, they come from environments where their mothers are in leadership positions and have positions of power. And his mother, being a female pastor, is a red flag because a woman in a position of power like that, even though the father came from the military, this could be something that could challenge his leadership in the home to make him feel so emasculated that he wound up leaving his home and just disappearing for 17 years. And in disappearing for 17 years, that's enough time to do damage to a boy to start him on the road to possibly becoming a man in crisis. Because when a boy doesn't have his father in his life to go out here and give him guidance and instruction, especially during those vulnerable years of adolescence, what happens to that boy is that he doesn't get that foundation in male life skills or male survival skills from the man who is supposed to be his model for manhood. And with Jonathan Majors not having his father in his life for those critical years, that could have laid a foundation for him learning dysfunctional paradigms. And this is something that is detailed in his difficult childhood and him living around recently released criminals, drug dealers, and other criminals who wore ankle monitors, and him seeing these types of males made it where he learned dysfunction as his male life skills and male survival skills, because seeing these kinds of males, this is something really bad for a young boy to see, because he's not seeing a model for responsible manhood. And that's one of the things that could lead to Jonathan Majors having problems, because he said he moved around various cities like Dallas, Georgetown, and Cedar Hill in Texas. And again, if you're living around a lot of guys who are drug dealers, criminals, and other ex-offenders, what that does is it leads to that boy not having a model for responsible manhood. And with his mother being a pastor, again, he's not learning anything about males, learning how to lead under the standard of the Most High. So we've got Jonathan Majors on a road to dysfunction. And that's possibly why he possibly got arrested for shoplifting when he was young. And I'm not going to hold that against him, because what happens is a lot of kids, they wind up getting into stuff because they're in that rebellious phase. And they get into that rebellious phase because they wind up having problems because there's no man to give them any sort of structure. And that's what Jonathan Majors had as he was growing up in adolescence. He never had any sort of men to show him an example of manhood. And he was having issues with his family and his home because he eventually wound up getting kicked out of his house. And he eventually found a safe space in theater. And that was the place where he found something safe. to be a part of. Thank God he did have that safe space in theater, but his whole upbringing was quite tumultuous. And I find it interesting that he wanted to go out here and go further into acting after watching Christopher Nolan's The Dark Knight. I mean, it was a powerful performance from Heath Ledger, but the whole thing is that the whole thing with The Dark Knight is, again, it's a very twisted movie, but it's one that really makes you understand how evil sociopaths can be. Now, Jonathan Majors, after he wound up going out and on his own, he started studying for his bachelor's degree at the North Carolina School of the Arts, and then eventually attended the Yale School of Drama, where he got a master's degree in and as related to theater in 2016. And after this, he began starting to develop his film career. And after he started developing his film career, and I believe he just didn't have the male life skills to understand how to navigate situations in the world. And that was the big problem that has led to many of the issues he has had over the last couple of months. Everything that he's had to deal with is because he did not get that foundation and guidance from his father, who came back later, but by that time it was too late, because there are some lessons only another man can teach another man. And these lessons need to be taught to a boy in adolescence, because if this boy does not learn these lessons from another man in adolescence, like his father, he's going to be on a road to dysfunction. And he's going to be on that road to dysfunction because if you're learning your life skills from other dysfunctional males, it's going to lead to you possibly winding up on the road to becoming a man in crisis. Now, Jonathan Majors got his first on-screen role when he was still a student at Yale, playing the alphabet activist Ken Jones in When We Rise. And after that, he went on to go and star in as Corporal Henry in the revisionist Western film, The Hostiles, and then went on to go out here and star in other small independent films, and went on to get an Independent Spirit nomination. Now, a lot of Jonathan Majors got a lot of acclaim as he was going on, and even former President Barack Obama rated one of his films, The Last Black Man in San Francisco, as one of the best films of 2019. So Jonathan Majors was on his way to having a very promising career for a rookie actor. I mean, he's had a lot of really solid roles as related to the beginning of his career, and he was showing a lot of great skill and range as related to his acting. And he was showing, again, all of this great skill as related to his acting. And this led to him, again, getting a lot more critical acclaim for more of these smaller independent films that he has done. I mean, he had 3 other 2019 film releases like Captive State, Guilty, and Judgeland. And he got a major role in Spike Lee's The Five Bloods, which was released on Netflix. Now, I didn't really think much of that movie, but he got acclaim for that movie, and then went on to star in HBO's Lovecraft Country, one of the big black fantasy series. And that performance was so great that he wound up getting an Emmy nomination and was favored by critics for his performance there. And then after that, he then went on the Disney Plus Loki series as He Who Remains, which is a foreshadowing of Kang the Conqueror, and then went on to star in the Western Harder They Fall with Zazie Beetz, Regina King, and Delroy Lindo, a film that had a great premise and great acting, but the script wasn't that great. But it was another great genre take on Black Westerns. And then after this is where he wound up getting his big break, playing Kang the Conqueror. And after playing Kang the Conqueror in Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantum Mania, Jonathan Majors got a lot of praise for his performance. And this praise for his performance basically was the big break for Jonathan Majors. that led to him possibly starting on his journey to the A-list. Now, Jonathan Majors was on his way to the A-list with his performance in Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania and the announcement by Kevin Feige that he would be the center villain of the Marvel Cinematic Universe for Phase 5 and Phase 6, and movies like Avengers: The Kang Dynasty and films like Avengers: Secret Wars. So there was a plan to get Jonathan Majors out there and make him an A-list star on the level of guys like Denzel Washington and Will Smith. And it was rumored that Jonathan Majors was on his way to making $20 million a picture as related to those movies like Kang Dynasty and Secret Wars. So Jonathan Majors was on his way to becoming an A-list star on the level of Denzel Washington and Will Smith. Unfortunately, in March, Jonathan Majors sadly wound up getting caught up in a domestic violence incident, and he wound up getting caught up in a domestic violence incident because he made the mistake of not going out here and watching the company he kept. Now, one of the things a Black entertainer has to do is they have to keep their head on a swivel. Because when you're a Black entertainer, you have to understand that you have lots of enemies around you. Unfortunately, Jonathan Majors did not get that memo, and he didn't get that memo because he didn't have his father in his life to give him guidance, nor did he have a brother like myself who has studied the entertainment industry to give him that guidance to keep his eyes open for who you get involved with. Because a lot of the people who want to be a part of your inner circle are not acting in your best interest. And a lot of people who are in the entertainment industry are opportunists who want to go out here and leech on an individual. And they want to go out here and leech on that individual to be able to get their needs met. That is something most seasoned performers understand about this business. Unfortunately, at 33 years old, Jonathan Majors isn't a seasoned pro like I am as related to the entertainment industry, and he's not really understanding many of the red flags around people that they give off and can't identify predators. And because he can't really identify predators, he got preyed on by this white female. Now, Jonathan Majors had started getting involved with this white female, and I believe he possibly got involved with this white female because many Ivy League guys like him buy into the whole concept of diversity, and there being about the color that matters is green, because one of the statements many of these celebrities love to say is the only color that matters is green. And as they sit there and make that statement, they try to make believe that they can get involved with whites and non-blacks, and that there is no real racism in Hollywood. Many times these celebrities try to deny the open racism going on around them, and they try to deny that racism going on around them in order to get the hopes of getting more jobs in the entertainment industry. And this could be another tactical mistake that Jonathan Majors made as related to him getting involved with this white female he was allegedly dating and possibly living with. He possibly thought, oh, I'm going to go get with this Becky, and as I'm getting with this Becky, she will be a good choice for me that won't go out here and sabotage things as related to my career. He thought, I'll go out here and get with this white woman, and she'll be better than a black woman. However, when Jonathan Majors was coming back from that Brooklyn bar inside of that Uber, he soon found out that a white female is possibly the same as a black female, because all of the behaviors that this Becky was participating in, are the same behaviors that many black men allege that black women participate in. And as your Jonathan Majors was in that Uber and checking out a text message in his phone, what this white female did was get insecure. And she was possibly insecure for an extended period of time because Jonathan Majors was on his way up. And this woman, because she was a predator, could not stand the idea of this black man being in a high social status and rising far above her, because many white women, when they see that a black man rising high, they start to get insecure, they start to get jealous, and they get insecure and jealous because they believe they should be the center of attention, and because they believe they should be the center of attention and elevated to the highest social status, what these women do is they start getting really insecure, and then they want to start acting out towards this black man. And that's what I believe happened inside of that cab, because this woman said that, oh, he's getting text messages from a black woman. This is what is alleged in reports. He's getting these text messages, and I want to see who he's getting these text messages from. So this woman basically didn't want to respect Jonathan Majors' boundaries, and that is par for the course with beta males. A lot of times, beta males don't set boundaries with women from day one, and that's when they start thinking they can act ratchet. They start thinking they can go out here and act ratchet because the man has not established himself as a leader, and he has not gone out here and established himself as a man that people respect. And that's part of what happened before this when Jonathan Majors went out here and participated in that effeminate photo shoot that emasculated him on Ebony magazine. Now, some people will say, oh, that was a part of him trying to act like a character from the manga and anime One Piece. But I believe, again, that was an anti-black agenda. And again, because Jonathan Majors didn't have a father to teach him what being a man is about and protecting the integrity of your masculinity is all about, he bought into the ideas that, oh, you can go out here and put on this outfit and purse your lips, not understanding that these white supremacists who work at Ebony were out here looking to emasculate and effeminize him and show him as weak. And that weakness was actually something that I believe this predatory white woman looked at. She's got her boyfriend who's on his way to becoming an A-list star, but she does not respect him as a man, and she doesn't respect him as a man because she looks at him and looks at the way he's behaving and believes that she doesn't have to regard anything about his personal space, because a person's smartphone is all about their personal space. I mean, going to try to look at a text message on your man's phone, that is disrespectful, and reaching to grab his phone is extremely disrespectful. Again, this woman was completely out of line in this Uber as related to the alleged reports, and Jonathan Majors was basically at a point where he had to basically get out of this cab and was trying to get out of this cab to get away from this woman. And as he was trying to get away from this woman, he basically was getting further disrespected. Again, when a woman wants to go look on your phone, that's a sign that she does not respect you and she does not trust you. And that's all because many men do not understand about boundaries or setting boundaries. Because if a woman does not respect your boundaries, then you need to set a hard line and cut them out of your life. And you need to cut them out of your life, because if a woman is out here on your phone and trying to look at what you're looking at, again, that's completely out of line, because it says as a man, you are not about ready to take care of your business, because a man has to take care of his business. And part of taking care of your business is setting boundaries for people to let them know, hey, this is as far as you're going to go. If I got my phone and I'm getting a text message, that has nothing to do with you, because you are not my wife, you are my girlfriend. And again, the girlfriend don't need to know who's on my phone. And again, when you have a woman acting like this, again, just completely out of line. And Jonathan Majors didn't know about how to vet women. And again, this is a skill only a man can teach, because what Jonathan Majors basically picked when he got this woman was he was mesmerized by her crystal blue eyes and her creamy white skin and her flowing blonde hair. But he was not looking at the values and the character of this woman who he brought into his life and further brought into his home. Now Jonathan Majors, according to reports, again, was having a fight in the cab with this woman. And this woman wanted to go out here and say that she was a victim of a purported attack from Jonathan Majors, who basically says he has evidence he did not attack this woman. And he says, according to his lawyer, that he had this woman basically after the incident then got out of the cab with Jonathan Majors and smoked a vape, and then then after they separated, she then went to another club and went out here and bought an $800 bottle of wine with his credit card. Again, I'm looking at that whole point in the story, and I'm thinking there's hard evidence here, because if Jonathan Majors can go out here and have that credit card receipt, he can make a claim saying, okay, this woman had my credit card, but that further makes him look like a weak dude. And it makes him look like a weak dude because this woman basically got you in a fight, grabbed your coat, ripped your coat, got a hold of your credit card. And this again makes Jonathan Majors look like a completely emasculated male as related to this whole altercation. And again, he wound up becoming emasculated because he wound up not understanding how to carry and conduct himself as a man. No, he was just so caught up in crystal blue eyes and creamy white skin that he was not thinking critically about himself as a man. Moreover, he was not even thinking critically about his image. And that's something any entertainer has to really think about, because all it takes is one allegation in this era of Me Too to destroy a man. And Jonathan Majors sadly started on the road to the demolition of his own career, because he just, again, didn't have the male life skills or survival skills to navigate a place like Hollywood. And because he didn't have those male life skills and male survival skills to navigate Hollywood, as his star was rising, he didn't understand that the woman he was involved with was an anchor, because this woman did not know how to behave as a helpmeet or show that she was a viable partner for a relationship. No, this woman, she started getting insecure early on. She started feeling uncomfortable because Jonathan Majors, the black man, was becoming the center of attention, getting the attention she wanted. Jonathan Majors was on his way, making lots of deals. And this woman wanted to go out here and trying to figure out who's on his phone. Again, that's not her business, because in this entertainment business, a man is going to get lots of text and phone calls from women. And those women are not all about dropping a skid mark thong and allowing a guy to get a taste of the atomic waste. No, a lot of these women are administrative assistants for an agent. They are administrative assistants for producers, and they are administrative assistants for different sponsors. And these administrative assistants will go out here and make calls and texts for their bosses, and they will go out here and make those calls and texts for their bosses in order to get in touch with an individual as related to a scheduling event or some sort of deal that they're working on. A guy may be getting hundreds of these kinds of text messages. And if you're not a woman who has the right discipline to understand this man is conducting business, then that woman is not the right woman to be with. And again, Jonathan Majors didn't understand about vetting women because he came from a home with a woman who was out of order. And he didn't understand that when you are a man, you have to vet women to see if they are a good fit for your program. And Jonathan Majors didn't know how to vet women to know who was right for his program. And because he didn't know how to vet a woman to find out who he was right for his program, he got involved with one of these insecure females who, as she thought, oh, I got the bag and an A-list star, she didn't know how to rise with that man. And when she started seeing that he was becoming bigger than she was, she feared for losing this man. And this is what led to her acting out in the cab at first. And then afterward, according to Jonathan Majors' lawyer, in an AOL article, and I'll leave that article for you guys to go out here and read for yourself. According to Jonathan Majors' attorney, what they are saying is that this woman, after the allegation of him allegedly breaking this woman's finger, which is a very painful thing, and you would think after getting your finger broken, you'd be running over to a hospital. But according to Jonathan Majors, he says he has a receipt saying this woman went to a club, went out here and bought an $800 bottle of wine, and then went drinking and clubbing all night. And then after she went allegedly drinking and clubbing all night, she then went back to his home. And then after going back to his home, he says he stayed at a hotel. And she's saying that, okay, she went to his home and started being drunk, and then went into a closet and allegedly participated in some disturbing behavior. And all the while doing this, she goes out here and texts Jonathan Majors. And as I'm looking at this woman's behavior, it's showing me that she has become extremely erratic. And she's become extremely erratic, I believe, because she knows that this man may possibly be thinking about leaving her. But the irony is, it's her erratic and crazy behavior that had Jonathan Majors possibly thinking about looking to get rid of this woman. Now, as he again texted this woman and called this woman, he then went to his home, according to reports, where he found this woman in this closet with these bruises on her. And according to these reports, this is where Jonathan Majors found this woman with the bruises and the lacerations on her neck. That this did not happen in the cab. I mean, this is what we were told earlier in reports, but according to his lawyer, all of this happened inside of the closet. And after he got her out of the closet, he called 911. And then that's where the story became one where it became all about him allegedly participating in domestic violence. That is what Jonathan Majors alleges. But when I look at him, again, I see a man in crisis, and a man in crisis because his foundation was dysfunctional. And because his foundation was dysfunctional, Jonathan Majors wound up on the road to winding up in this situation. And as he wound up in this situation, he went from dealing with a predatory woman to a predatory criminal justice system. And that predatory criminal justice system wanted to turn Jonathan Majors from a rising A-list black star to becoming white supremacy's new brute of the month. And as they looked to turn him into the brute of the month, Alvin Bragg, New York's bootlicking black prosecutor, decided to go out here and keep charges on Jonathan Majors as related to this assault, making the promise to him that these charges were just a formality, when in actuality, an opportunist like Bragg wants to go out here and put some notches in his belt after going out here and taking and looking to indict Donald Trump. He looked to go out here and be able to say he could bring a top A-list star to his knees, again, trusting the wrong people, because, again, a lot of beta males don't understand the game with white supremacy and many other predatory black bootlicks is chess, not checkers. And you can't trust anything that these individuals say. And what white supremacy loves to do is make black men the punchline of a cruel joke, where they put success in front of that brother and then yank the rug out from under him. And sadly, Jonathan Majors wound up with the rug getting yanked out from under him because he did not have any brothers out here to give him guidance on how to navigate Hollywood. Because when you're a black man in Hollywood, you have to tread carefully because white supremacy lays out a lot of pitfalls and traps to bring down heterosexual black men. And that's why a black man has to go out here and look out for himself, because what white supremacy wants to do is make that black man into a brute of the month. And that's why we're seeing these allegations as related to domestic violence coming out right now. And these allegations of domestic violence are their way of implementing the punchline on the cruel joke, saying that if you take a black man and you give him success, what he's going to do is wind up failing. And when he gets that success, we can go out here and sabotage him. And sadly, Jonathan Majors basically walked into the death trap of white supremacy because he was walking around with his eyes closed, when any other brother who is smart is going to keep his eyes open. And the first person any smart black man is going to do is keep his eyes open for the Becky, because the Becky is coming to you because she basically is looking for an opportunity to try to get something out of a black man that she knows that she wouldn't be able to get out of white men. Now, when you see a Becky looking to check for a brother in any business or entertainment field, understand that you are possibly her last choice, because all those other dudes know all about her, and there's a reason why they're staying away from her. That's the reason why most of these white guys possibly didn't want anything to do with this woman. Some of these guys basically possibly found out about the theatrics and drama that this woman plays, and they said to themselves, hey, I'm not getting involved with this Becky because she's possibly cracked like an egg. And since she's cracked like an egg, I'm going to stay far away from this female. Again, because these black males believe in that whole diversity and the only color mattering being green, what happens is they show how green they are. And as these spellbound black men get involved with these white women, they don't understand there's a reason why the white guys ain't checking for her. And you need to find out why those white guys ain't checking for this Becky. And again, these black men don't really think critically about that. No, they're just so caught up in their feelings about, oh, a white girl from Hollywood is paying attention to me. And that was the big mistake that Jonathan Majors made, because he didn't have guidance from a father or other men of character to sit down and talk to him and tell him, look, if this Becky is checking for you, it's obviously because she could not get any of those white guys to step to her. Because the whole thing is, if she's a white girl who's blonde and blue-eyed, which is a dime a dozen in Hollywood, why ain't she stepping to no white dudes? But again, guys like Michael B. Jordan and Jonathan Majors are real green. And again, because they're green and they're caught up in the attention white girls are paying to them, they don't really think that they've walked into a penis flytrap. And as they walk into the penis flytrap, they wind up screwing themselves, and they don't understand this woman's ultimate goal is to screw them over. I mean, I know that Jonathan Majors was born in 89, and he was too young to understand what happened to O.J. Simpson. But what happened to Jonathan Majors in this case is the same thing that happened to O.J. Simpson, and the same thing that happened to Bill Cosby. What the white supremacist does is they have a basic plan to take out successful black men. And one of the penis flytraps they have is that Becky, and Jonathan Majors walked right into that penis flytrap. And again, walked right into it because he was spellbound by those crystal blue eyes, that flowing blonde hair, and that creamy white skin, thinking she was sweet and innocent, when in actuality she possibly was on the need for some meds and a straitjacket, because again, if she was a quality white woman, she would have been stepping to white men. but she stepped to him because she saw that this was her last chance at an up and coming star, but she sabotaged that star. And I hear a lot of guys on Facebook, they were talking about, oh, a black woman would have done him worse. And I don't know if that would be true, but I doubt a black woman would have gone out here and sabotaged a brother just as he was coming up. No, I don't think she would have done that at all. And again, a lot of black men want to say, "Oh, a black woman would have did him worse." No, I say that this Becky did Jonathan Majors worse than any black woman, because a black woman probably would have known that she needed to work with him as related to getting the bag. She would have worked with him towards getting towards that A-list. And again, understanding that as the girlfriend, she has not secured any bag, because a woman secures a bag when she gets married to a man. But this woman basically didn't want to secure any bag or help meet the needs of any man. What she wanted to do was go out here and look to sabotage this man because she was jealous of his success. And sadly, as a result of Jonathan Majors having to deal with her theatrics and her drama, this brother basically is on the brink of losing everything. He's had several ads with the Army, basically winding up getting canceled. He's had several roles, like the role of Otis Redding in one movie being canceled. He was being considered for that role. He's had other projects wind up getting canceled. And again, all because this white female wound up destroying his optics, because it's hard to sell an entertainer who has a domestic violence claim, allegation against him. It's hard to sell that entertainer even after he gets cleared. It's going to be hard to sell him. And again, he would possibly never reach this level, and it would take a long time for him, if he did, to get back to this trajectory as related to the A-list. And again, this all happened because Jonathan Majors did not get that life training and those male life skills to know how to navigate situations. Yes, he was around a lot of dope dealers and a lot of criminals when he was young, but they could not teach him the things a father could do as related to socializing and navigating social situations and being able to identify predators. These are things a father can teach, and these are things that can help you understand, okay, you need to watch yourself in this situation. You need to watch yourself and who you're dealing with, and you need to go out here and vet these individuals and find out what they're about. Get out of your feelings about getting attention from white people and ask, why is this person interested in me? That's the kind of question a man asks when he's dealing with women out here, because he understands he has too much to lose, and getting involved with the wrong woman can lead to a man winding up losing basically everything. And that's what's happened here to Jonathan Majors as related to his life. He thought, oh, I'll be able to get with this Becky. I'll be able to bring her in my life. I'll be able to bring her in my house. Big mistakes that any other man would not do who's been raised right. Any other man who's been raised right is going to say, nah, if this woman ain't my wife, she ain't staying with me. I'm going to have my own place. She's going to have her own place. And that's going to be the end of it. I'm going to have mine. She's going to have hers. And we are going to meet at certain places. I'm going to keep a boundary between myself and this woman, because this woman is not proven that she's ready to be my wife. But Jonathan Majors basically didn't understand this, brought this woman into his home, had her possibly living with him. And that was a big mistake, because, again, if this woman is in your house and in your business, then she's going to wind up looking to disrupt your business. And you can't have this woman disrupting your business when you're out here looking to go out here and make this paper. When you're out here looking to make paper, this woman cannot be in your home. She cannot be about your business. No, when you're getting calls from people, you don't need her asking who that is, because that's got nothing to do with her. She ain't got no ring on your finger, on your ring on her finger. So she ain't got no reason to talk about any of your business. And again, if she's getting in your business, then you need to take care of business. And that was the mistake that Jonathan Majors made. He didn't understand about how to deal with a woman when you're an up and coming performer. When you're an up and coming performer, you need to be about making sure she ain't got nothing to do with your management team. She ain't got nothing to do with your agent. She ain't got nothing to do with your publicist. No, that's got nothing to do with her. But this woman wanted to get into that business because she thought, oh, this black woman is texting my black man, and I want to find out who this is. Well, you're not married to this man, so you don't need to know about anything, because a girlfriend is, again, that's an entry level job. You are not in the role of helpmeet. You are in the courtship role to see if you are the right person for this man. You are in the courtship role to see if you are going to be qualified to be his wife. But this woman was crossing lines and crossing boundaries. And this is what led to the white supremacists coming in and looking to make him the brute of the month, because he didn't check the white woman who was out of order. And that opened the door for others to go out here and abuse Jonathan Majors. He didn't understand that as a man, you have to set boundaries with any woman you get involved with and keep her out of your business. And you have to keep her out of your business, because if she gets into your business, she can wind up sabotaging your business. And the way this Becky sabotaged Jonathan Majors' business was by going out here and getting into it with him in that car. And as she got into it with him in that car, she caused Jonathan Majors to lose face. And Jonathan Majors lost face because now people see him as a weak man. They see him as somebody who they can't respect. And that's why everything basically fell apart. And he's struggling to deal with right now. Now, there were a lot of these people now looking to make allegations against Jonathan Majors that I find to be quite questionable. You've got some folks sitting up here trying to say that Jonathan Majors is a sociopath, and I have to call BS on that, because if Jonathan Majors was an alleged sociopath, why was he allowed to continue working on many different projects? Because a person who's a sociopath, their behavior is going to be easily identified, and most companies, production companies, wouldn't want to get involved with him because they feared him possibly being a liability. So that's where I see that claim being unsubstantiated about Jonathan Majors being a sociopath and being violent, because if he were these things, you would think that somebody would have filed police reports early on, and this would have possibly led to the blacklisting of Jonathan Majors before he became on the road to the A-list. I believe what would have happened to Jonathan Majors if he was so-called violent and out of control in the past, somebody would have filed a police report, because, again, Jonathan Majors' rise to stardom happened during the start of the Me Too movement, and you would have thought one of these Beckys that he was looking to get involved with would have definitely filed a police report, and this would have been major news, because with Me Too being popular, what they would have done is gone out here and made their allegation or had a police report to substantiate their allegation. And that's why, again, I have to call BS on Jonathan Majors being an abuser in the past. And that doesn't really fit the pattern if he's leaving a vehicle to get away from her. And if this isn't in an Uber, there's definitely a camera in the back. And there's also an alleged police camera that says that the body cam, that footage that he says exonerates him. But if his pattern is leaving these incidents, why would he go out here and be actively participating in them before? That's why when I hear all of these women coming out and making claims, I have to call BS on those allegations, because, again, if Jonathan Majors was this violent individual, we would have heard about that domestic violence in his early years where he was arrested for shoplifting and participating in those troubles in Texas, we would have seen this pattern of violence emerging on the sets of many of his projects like Lovecraft Country and many other projects. We would have seen a pattern as related to this behavior that would have been reported in media outlets because, again, as Jonathan Majors was rising as a star, the Me Too movement was in full effect, and the Me Too movement would look to make any allegation against anybody who they thought had some money. So that's where I look at many of these women coming out of the woodwork and many of their claims, and I've got to call BS on those claims, and because it's looking like they're trying to do the same thing that they did to Bill Cosby, looking to use trust and believe to go out here and try and convict Jonathan Majors in the court of public opinion. That's what it's looking like. They're looking to try and convict Jonathan Majors without going out here and allowing him to have his day in court, because that's what many of those in the Me Too movement love to do. They love to go out here and convict a man based on their opinion without taking a critical examination of the facts. But when I look at the facts of the Jonathan Majors case, he basically wound up in this situation because he didn't have that guidance from a father or other men on how to navigate business in the entertainment industry. And the people who he had were basically cowards because his manager and publicist basically dropped him, and all the other people dropped him instead of looking for a way to create an optical image that puts up a counterpoint to these narratives, because these Me Too narratives have been shattered by people of lower social status than Jonathan Majors. And these many people have pushed back on these Me Too allegations and these situations with these allegations of domestic violence by saying, hey, I'm innocent until proven guilty. I'm allowed my day in a court of law, and I'm also I haven't participated in this violence. I mean, yes, he's got a good counter as related to showing video of this woman who says she has a broken finger going out and dancing in a club, because if you have a broken finger, why are you in a club having a time with no bandage and no medical report? Again, Mr. Majors has lots of holes he can poke in Alvin Bragg's case. Where's the medical report as related to this injury? Where's the medical report as related to these injuries? I mean, if you say this is domestic violence, how can you prove that this beyond a reasonable doubt? Critical questions that could be asked if Jonathan Majors had a good team. And again, if you have a good team, you can push back against these allegations. And again, allegations are not anything substantiated in a court of law. But I look at Jonathan Majors again, and again, he's looking like a man in crisis. And he's a man in crisis because he didn't understand how this business works and how anti-Black the business of Hollywood works. Again, buying into that concept of the only color that matters is green. Well, with Hollywood, the only color that matters is Black, and they want to make sure that the Black image is not elevated to a high level, and their ultimate goal is to tear down the Black image, and they want to tear down the Black image because they don't want to see a Black man getting the same respect that a white man receives in their media. Now, their media was designed to elevate white men and white women. And when they see a Black man like Jonathan Majors rising above their mediocre performers, the way he did in Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, and in other projects where he's showing that he's on a high level, what they want to do is break that Black man and basically try to put him in a place below white men. And that's what this campaign is all about, because I clearly see a double standard as related to the way Jonathan Majors' case is being presented and the way many other white men's cases are being presented. Now, according to rumors and reports, John Hamm of Mad Men is considered to be a guy that they made allegations of being a sociopath about in Hollywood circles. Yet John Hamm is still out here working. But Jonathan Majors gets those allegations, and people want to take jobs for him. Moreover, you have men like Ezra Miller out here who have participated in a series of crimes and assaults against women, and is also alleged to have groomed a young girl. But that hasn't stopped Warner Brothers from keeping Ezra Miller on the job. No, Ezra Miller's face is basically on every product as related to toys and action figures for the Flash movie, and he's been promoted heavily in their Flash movie in spite of his bizarre and violent and erratic alleged behavior. In spite of his alleged bizarre, violent, and allegedly erratic behavior, Ezra Miller is part of Warner Brothers' tentpole movie, The Flash, and is heavily being promoted in that movie, even though he has participated in a series of disturbing events. Ezra Miller is going out here and being allowed to be a part of projects, and no one is talking about blacklisting Ezra Miller. No, he's getting a major push, but Jonathan Majors is having several projects being taken from him, and he's being terminated from his publicist and his agent. But Ezra Miller still has the same publicist and agent and manager, in spite of him basically participating in crimes that are extremely heinous. In spite of Ezra Miller participating in heinous alleged crimes, he is still allowed to have his management team on hand. And again, that really shows us how racist Hollywood is. And it just shows me how racist American media is when I think about Dana White. Now, Dana White basically slapped and beat his wife in a club on New Year's. And there's been no prosecutor going out here saying that we need charges against Dana White, the head of the UFC. There's been no demand for Dana White to lose his job. There's been no petition from anyone like Ari Emanuel, the owner of Endeavor, which owns UFC and WWE, to have Dana White terminated, even though Dana White was shown on video beating his wife. He's allowed to keep his job, but everybody's talking about how Jonathan Majors needs to be fired or looking to terminate him from a job. And again, double standard as related to race. Oh, the black man is a big black brute, a big black beast, and a big monster who we need to put down. But the white males who go out here and have these types of alleged reputations and have been shown on camera to have participated in this behavior, they get allowed to keep their jobs. And again, showing us the racist double standard that Hollywood has. And that's really saying something, because many of these Hollywood leftists will sit there and say that they're all about so-called diversity, but they're not all about diversity or inclusion as related to making sure that things stay fair. When it comes down to their guys participating in these crimes, oh, it's okay for them to keep their job. But Jonathan Majors, the black man, we have to terminate him. We have to ostracize him. We have to minimize him. Again, the leftist likes to talk about how fair they are, but we see in the case of Jonathan Majors that these white leftists he embraced are hypocrites, and that these leftists he was out here saying were so good, the ones who gave him all of these jobs, again, they show how their true colors as related to how racist they are, because they're the ones pulling away from Jonathan Majors in a time of crisis. And while they go out here and participate in the same behavior, they go out here and say, oh, it's okay for us that, oh, that's just him being angry. That's that he was out here and he shouldn't. And like in the case of Dana White, which shows the hypocrisy of this. I mean, Dana White's wife hit him first and he hit back, but he's allowed to keep his job. But with Jonathan Majors, who was defending himself allegedly as related to this woman assaulting him, because what she was doing when she went to grab his phone was assault and battery. What she did was assault. But when Jonathan Majors, who did not allegedly put a hand on this woman, tried to got out of the cab, he's presented as the face of being a violent predator. And that's what they're doing here. Again, racist double standard. And the media wants to pile on with this, looking to further demonize Jonathan Majors as a monster, all while they conveniently and silently don't say a word about Ezra Miller or Dana White. No, don't say anything about Ezra Miller or Dana White, and how they're just openly showing us the double standard they have. They'll sit there and participate in this double standard and say, oh, the racism is okay for these left white men, but when it comes down to a black man, he's got to be punished to the fullest extent of the law. Again, showing us that when you are a black man, you are on your own. And that's a lesson that, again, Jonathan Majors definitely did not get. He bought into the rhetoric of Hollywood, believing, oh, everything's going to be about fairness and equity, when Hollywood was never about this. And that is the greatest mistake that Jonathan Majors did not get as a boy about the entertainment industry, that I got studying the entertainment industry back when I was about 13, 14 years old, when I aspired to go out here and I wanted to work at NBC. When I was a boy, I learned all about this business, and that's why I don't want to be a part of that business, because at the end of the day, they don't see a black person as a person. No, they see a black person as an enemy. And when you're a black person in this entertainment business, you are on your own. And if you don't know how to go out here and move in this entertainment business, you will fall into these pitfalls and traps. And Jonathan Majors sadly fell into several of them. He fell into the penis flytrap that many bottom-feeding white women go out here and lay. And as he fell into the penis flytrap, it just wrapped itself around him and allowed him to fall into the pit of white supremacy. And those white supremacists then began crafting a narrative, turning him from an up-and-coming performer into the new brute of the month. And as they went out here and made him into the brute of the month, they then framed the narrative that Jonathan Majors was a woman beater, and that's the whole thing that they used to try to tear down his image. Unfortunately, Jonathan Majors sadly didn't have his eye on the business, and he didn't have good guidance. And again, you need that guidance from men in your community before you go to a place like Hollywood, because a place like Hollywood is a shark tank, and it's a shark tank full of predators. The other rule you need to understand is there's no friends in the business of Hollywood. No, you are on your own. And when you're on your own, your only goal when you're in this business is to make sure you go out here and protect your 75% of your earnings, because you get the agent who takes 10% off the top, you got the manager who takes another 15, and then you've got the IRS who takes a good chunk. But you've got to make sure you protect your bag, and the only way you can protect your bag is by making sure your head's on a swivel as related to this entertainment business, because there are sharks all around you. And sadly, Jonathan Majors was not taught about these sharks because he didn't have a man to give him any sort of guidance the way I have done and studied on this business. I mean, you have to look out because there's sharks all around you, and there's sharks looking to take you out. And again, they will use these sharks to take you out and wind up with you going back to your hood with nothing in your pocket, because they got all your money and they've got it in their pockets. And again, you have to look, the only person looking out for you is you, not your agent, not your manager, not your publicist, because all these people flaked out on Jonathan Majors, and now he's on the road from going to being an A-list star. If things go bad, to winding up basically without a career. And again, all because he didn't watch the company he kept, did not vet the people in his circles, did not keep his head on a swivel. And this is what happens to guys out here. Again, they get jammed up because they're not understanding how this business works. And again, there are people, if you don't look out for your who's involved with you, a lot of these people are looking to go into business for themselves. And that's what Jonathan Majors' Raggedy Becky was looking to do. She was looking to go into business for herself because that's the only reason why she was out here wanting to know who was on his phone, because she was looking to try to get some business done for herself, because who's on your phone ain't nobody's business but yours. And if she want to know who's on your phone, she can go out here and go leave at that point. That's when you say, okay, it's time for you to go. And that's when it's time for you to charge her to the game. Again, when you don't understand about how to move in the entertainment business, again, you're going to get played. And sadly, that's what happened to Jonathan Majors, because he did not get the life skills in order to navigate the entertainment industry as a man. And because he didn't get those skills, he didn't know how to navigate those skills to become a man who knows how to work on his paper. So want to say hi to Jay Paper, Soul Survivor, Nightingale Wednesday Nightmare, Reginald Blaylock, Todd Muhammad, Computer Robots, glad to see you here. And as I continue talking about Jonathan Majors being a man in crisis, there's a Kickstarter I want to tell you about. Concrete Comics is launching the 5th issue of Acolyte, and I want everybody to get caught up on the Acolyte series. I mean, this is the best comic I've read of a black superhero since the Roger Stern, Jackson Guy Superman in Action Comics in the 90s Superman. So if you want to get Acolyte number 5, the Kickstarter is live right now, and you can pick up your copy of Acolyte number 5, which is up right now. So you can get that copy of Acolyte number 5 on Kickstarter and continue picking up this fantastic Concrete series. And everybody's definitely going to get a comic because this project is already fully funded. But if you want to put in your pledge and help get your copy, we've got 61 backers and 13 days to go. And you don't want to miss out on Acolyte. This is a fantastic comic. What's going on, KJ, Jerobi, and Gboot2786? Glad to see you here. You want to pick up that comic. It's something you'll really want to do. I mean, Gboot2786 and I, we do a show together on Thursdays. And if you want to check out, subscribe to that channel, to his channel, to get to watch that show on Thursday with me, about 9 o'clock, you can sub to his channel, and you can yeah, I'd say you definitely have to say he's getting his wake-up call, Gboot2786. I'd have to say he's getting his wake-up call, because this is what white supremacy does. When they see a weakness, they go in, and that they saw with Jonathan Majors was a weakness that they could exploit, and that weakness was exploited because he got with the wrong woman. And as he got with this wrong woman, what happened is they found a hole to exploit, and everybody's looking to take advantage of that hole because they see how weak Jonathan Majors is. And I'm gonna talk about some he's got a major hole that's related to his whole situation, and it's really gonna jam him up, and it's gonna jam him up because, again, he didn't get that training as related to a man, because there are male life skills that every man needs to be able to survive in the world. And it looks like to me he didn't get those skills. And again, that foundation of skills is what's got Jonathan Majors majorly jammed up at this point, because he's out here thinking, oh, I can go get one of these Beckys. I mean, he's caught up in the same rhetoric that many of the spellbound black males get caught up in. Again, they get caught up in this whole idea of integrating and getting themselves a white girl. And what I've really heard that again was quite troubling from many black males on Facebook was the whole idea of, oh, a black woman would do him worse. No, when I look at this whole situation, this is just as bad as many of the ratchet black women. And when I look at this whole situation, people are always constantly demonizing black women and making them out to be the ultimate evil. And that, again, comes from the trauma that some guys have from getting dumped. It comes from the trauma of dealing with many of the predatory women that they had, or even their mothers. I talked about that last week. And projecting all of their anger about black women, it doesn't help in this situation because the whole situation is many black males don't understand you wind up attracted to predators due to the way your mother is. And when I look at Jonathan Majors' mom being a pastor, again, out of order, this is what led to him being involved with an out of order woman. Talked about this last week. When you get involved with having a mother who is out of order, what happens is you start attracting yourself to these kind of predators because this was your model for womanhood. And if you have a mother who is out of order, you're going to wind up on the road to becoming a man in crisis. And this is something a lot of black men have to understand. You are what you attract. And if you're attracting predators, it's because you are dealing with dysfunction that you've gotten in your early age and is when you were a kid. And again, you have to work that out in counseling. And the whole thing is, if you have this dysfunction, it's going to make you a target of these predators. And again, a lot of black males who are successful wind up becoming attracted to these predators because they want to have that Becky on their arm as an attachment. They want to have her on their arm to get attention for themselves. They want to have her on their arm in order to elevate their social status when it shouldn't be about her elevating your social status. She needs to show you that she's going to be a helpmeet and a partner to you as related to your relationship. And she needs to show you how she's going to add to your life. But Jonathan Majors wasn't thinking about that. No, he was spellbound by the crystal blue eyes and the creamy white skin. And he wasn't spellbound by the flowing blonde hair and the pancake booty. And as he was caught up in these things, he wound up getting himself jammed up because this woman, while she had the color of the skin that he found to be attractive, she didn't have the content of character or resolve to work with him towards building him and his efforts to become an A-list star. So that's what happens to a lot of men out here who wind up becoming men in crisis. A lot of brothers go out here thinking, oh, I can go out here and navigate a place like Hollywood. But the whole thing is you have to have your head in the game. You have to have your head on a swivel. You have to have your eyes open because Hollywood is a shark tank. And I'll repeat it because you need to understand this. It's a shark tank that eats people alive, devours people whole, and it's not a place for green guys. And again, when you're green, you don't really see the big picture. You don't understand that people are looking to get ahead at your expense. You don't understand that there are people who are opportunists because there's a lot of hungry and desperate people in the entertainment business. And Jonathan Majors just didn't, while his star was rising and his acting was good as a college educated actor, he didn't get an education on the business of Hollywood, and he didn't get an education on how to move in Hollywood or even how to move in the streets. You have to have that as part of your survival skill package in order to survive in a place like Hollywood. And again, he didn't have that. And that's how he wound up in this situation because he was living that high life thinking, oh, I'm going to the bars, I'm going to the restaurants, I'm going out and having a good time. He's thinking, I'm having this great time and I'm being able to go out here and have this time, not understanding you get caught up in your feelings about having that good time. You're not understanding that this is a business and you have to have your eye on business all the time. And that's something you have to understand about the entire entertainment business that I talk about in my screenplay, All About Marilyn. You've got to have your eye on business. And the thing is, you have to understand Business goes on 24 hours a day, 7 days a week when you are a celebrity, and all it takes is one person putting out a story that's going to keep you from making your paper. And Jonathan Majors, again, didn't understand this. Again, he's like been in the business only 5 years, I believe, about 20, came in 2016. And again, he's a rookie as related to the business. I mean, he's really green. And again, this is why he fell into the penis flytrap and got screwed, because he didn't understand that there are people you don't get involved with. And it's according to some reports, he met this woman on the set who was an extra. Again, you don't crap where you eat. You don't deal with people who aren't a part of your business circle. And again, you don't deal with those people. You keep your eyes open. And again, vet people, go out here and have them checked out, because this is the wrong person. Getting involved with the wrong people can mess up your career. And I know this story doesn't really connect to it, but I saw this happen with Mike Tyson back in the late 80s. I mean, Mike Tyson, like Jonathan Majors, was rising in the world of boxing. He was the world champion. He was the fighter. I mean, he was up there making hundreds of millions of dollars. And like Jonathan Majors, he got involved with the wrong woman, Robin Givens, who was an actress. We thought, oh, I'll have this actress on my arm. She'll be a beautiful black woman to have on my arm. And he got involved with her. She emasculated him on television, talking about he was a manic depressive in front of Barbara Walters. He went on a rampage. And then he went out here and was just running buck wild with all sorts of women. And eventually he went to a pageant and got involved with Desiree Washington. And Desiree Washington went out here, had a one-night stand with Mike Tyson at 2 o'clock in the morning. And after having the one-night stand with Mike Tyson, she wanted to go out here and then try to play the Christian card, talking about how Mike Tyson had sexually violated her. And this derailed Mike Tyson's entire boxing career and basically derailed his entire life, because this woman went from taking an allegation to court, wound up getting a conviction against Mike Tyson, and Mike Tyson's career was never the same. And I was sad that happened to Mike Tyson, but me seeing what happened to Mike Tyson, Clarence Thomas, and O.J. Simpson from afar, this made me really think about, hey, I got to watch how I move out here. But sadly, nobody talked to Jonathan Majors about Mike Tyson, because that was 30 years ago. O.J. Simpson is about to be 30 years ago, and Clarence Thomas is about 30 years ago. But back then, I saw those three black men having their professional careers basically undermined, and in the case of Mike Tyson, derailed. And that taught me that you got to be careful out here. You got to keep your eyes open, and you can't make tactical errors like Jonathan Majors has made. And Jonathan Majors is another black man who we can all learn from about how to move in business as a black man. Again, you gotta watch yourself in these situations, because all it takes in this era of Me Too is one of these women to go out here and make an allegation, and you could wind up losing everything. That is something many black men don't think about, that I had to think about at 17 and 20 years old. I mean, these are things that I had to think about if I wanted to go out here and get into business of any type. You got to watch how you move out here. You got to keep your eyes open, because everything with a big butt and a smile is not looking to be your friend. No, every woman out here with a big butt and a smile may be out looking for herself and out looking for a payday from a prodco, because a lot of times, a lot of these women, when they see a guy like a Jonathan Majors, they're looking for a payday, not only from him, but also from a prodco, looking for that out-of-court settlement at the expense of your reputation, looking for that out-of-court settlement as related to your image, and looking for that out-of-court settlement as related to your brand. And that's why you have to know how to navigate life in the entertainment business as a man, because these women can turn you into a man in crisis if you don't keep your eyes open. I mean, this is something you have to look out for as related to these kinds of women. But Jonathan Majors did not get I got your comment one, full boss, about the pancake booty. I don't know if it was taken out. Let me take a look. No, it's still there. It's still there. But it's still there, and the whole thing is you got to keep your eyes open. And again, I try to teach men to keep their eyes open because I don't want to see you go out like Mike Tyson or what they're trying to do to Jonathan Majors, what they did to Bill Cosby. I mean, Bill Cosby was sad because this innocent man lost 3 years of his life because of an allegation that was not true. I mean, I don't know what that bozo the clown, I mean, she's sitting up here saying he did things. And this prosecutor, again, an opportunist looking to elevate his career, just made this case against Bill Cosby. And they use the same tactics over and over again, like they're using on Jonathan Majors, trying to demonize him as the super brute and trying to make him look like this big black monster, an attack beast that was looking to just tear apart this little bitty white woman, which is a lie. I mean, they do this to all black men, whether it be Mike Tyson, who had a limited education but was one of the world's greatest boxers, to men like Bill Cosby and Jonathan Majors, who come from universities and are considered to be prominent and successful black men. The institution of white supremacy sees them all as the same thing, black brutes that they need to put down. And the whole thing is they look to target black men. But a lot of black men, we have to understand that even if we enter these high social circles, we have to keep our heads on a swivel, because what these individuals want to do is take a black man and turn him into a black man in crisis. What's going on, Kaysant La Kapoor? Glad to see you here. Talking about whether Jonathan Majors is a man in crisis. And I believe that he is in a major crisis as related to his career. I believe he's in a major crisis, and it's not anything that can be dismissed. He's in a situation because he was not really taught what he needed to know about this entertainment business. He was not taught what he needed to know about how to navigate this business. And I don't know what happened with it. When full boss, YouTube they just do stuff. So you can put the same comment up and see if it comes back up. But they look to take out black men. And again, black men, we got to keep our eyes open and understand, again, you can't trust a big butt and a smile. You can't trust a pancake butt and a smile. I mean, the whole thing is any one of us could be Jonathan Majors. And that's why I have to talk about him and try to help people understand how to avoid these situations, because it's really, again, your livelihood, your career, and your freedom are in jeopardy. And this is something we have to think about before you go out here and get with the busted Becky bunnies. I mean, before you get with the busted Becky Snow bunnies, you got to think about how these women are, because again, this is where the black woman learned a lot of her predatory behavior. A lot of guys that sit there and complain about, oh, the black woman is this woman who will jam you up. But where did that black woman learn all of this? The black woman basically learned all of her ratchetness from white women who, like the woman Jonathan Majors was involved with, she was their teacher. Most black women aspire to be like white women, and the white woman is the most ratchet woman in the room. And that is something Jonathan Majors is learning right now. He's learning that this Becky can be just as dangerous as that black woman that every black man learns to fear. And what the white woman does is put on a face like she's sweet and innocent, but under the sweetness and innocence is a shark who's looking to prey on black men. But this shark has, again, dangerous teeth, and you have to watch out for that smile because it'll rip out your heart. And that's what's happening to Jonathan Majors. And you'll hear people saying, oh, the black woman is worse. No, this white woman is who the black woman learned her ratchetness from. And she's the one who taught her everything. She's the one that many black women aspire to be like. And she'll go out here and use the narratives about black women to make herself look better. But then she's the one who goes out here and does stuff like this to guys like Jonathan Majors and sits there and tries to make it like she's sweet and innocent, even though Jonathan Majors has her on tape, showing her in this bar with allegedly in pain with a broken finger that she talks about, but we see her in the bar with a perfectly fine finger, drinking on his dollar, disrespecting him. And with Jonathan Majors, I have to wonder, are you going to get yourself a new woman? Because when you see a woman disrespect you like this, it's time to get a new woman, because this woman is showing you she's not looking to be a part of your team. She's not looking to be a part of you at all. No, she was just using him to get from point A to point B. And with these Beckys, what they're looking to do is monkey branch from the black man after they've had their fun over to a white man who has a bit more money. And a lot of times these Beckys have guys on the side. They have a spare penis on the side, and they're looking to move on to that next guy. And that possibly could have been what happened here as related to this whole situation. And what happened here could have been that he wound up going out here and just didn't understand what was going on. Yeah, I read about that on K-Sonka that he called the police because of the drama she was in. She got drunk and was in his closet pretending to do some theatrics like a suicide attempt. And he called the police when the whole thing is he should have just left this and left it, never gotten involved with this woman. I mean, he called the police and now they're jamming him up. And again, you got to watch yourself how you move, because getting involved with the wrong woman can mess up your game. And that's why you got to watch who you get involved with. And again, that's why fathers are important, because they can teach a man how to move with women so that he doesn't wind up becoming a man in crisis and jamming himself up extra bad. Now, I'm going to get ready to wrap up tonight's stream, and I wanted everybody to know about the newest SJS Direct book, John Haynes' 1987. And this book will be available in paperback and Kindle format on May 26th. So if you want to get a great beach read that takes you back to the 1980s, you can pick up a copy of John Haynes' 1987. So this is a book about John Haynes' early years. It's sort of like the year one of John Haynes' of his life and the start of him on his road to things. So if you guys want to learn about the origin of John Haynes, you can pick up John Haynes' 1987 on Amazon.com in Kindle format and coming to paperback on May 26th. I definitely think you'll enjoy this one. This is about John Haynes' early years, so you definitely want to get this one when it's coming out. And there's a lot of great manhood lessons in this book. There's a lot of lessons about teenage love and how boys deal with teenage love. So this is a story I think you guys will definitely enjoy, taking you back to life in the 80s in the South Bronx, taking you back to the early days of hip hop and R&B and places like the Skate Key here in the Bronx that kids hung out with in pizza parlors in junior high school. So I think you're going to enjoy this one when it comes out on May 26th. I'm asking everybody to go out here and put a pre-order for this book. You also have part of the 2023 catalog, John Haynes Godbreaker, and this is the 6th book in the John Haynes series. This is the book that comes right after John Haynes at Death's Door and deals with the aftermath of John Haynes at Death's Door, where he's dealing with after defeating Thanatos, the god of thunder wants to challenge him, Thor. So this is another action-packed John Haynes series adventure, and this is one that I think you definitely want to go out here and pick up. So you want to definitely pick up John Haynes Godbreaker. That's coming out on right now in paperback and Kindle format. And you'll be able to pick up this fun one. This is another fun one. And I definitely would like to see you guys pick this one up in paperback and Kindle format on Amazon.com. And the comic from the 2022 Kickstarter, John Haynes at Death's Door, is available on Lulu right now. So if you want to try out the first John Haynes comic book, you can get the first John Haynes comic book on Lulu. You will get a paper copy at Lulu right now at the same price everybody paid for at the Kickstarter. So if you want to get the John Haynes comic, you can head over to Lulu right now and get your copy for the same price that everybody paid. And the shipping's a little lower than what some paid on the Kickstarter. They got extras for theirs, like stickers and stuff, but you'll get the comic and be able to experience the first John Haynes comic with fantastic art by Antonio Balderi and great lettering by Gump. So I'm hoping to one day do another comic. I want to do an ISIS comic next. And the only way I can do an ISIS comic or be able to do more live streams like this is if you guys continue to donate to the show. And you can do that by donating to the Cash App. And that really helps the channel a lot, along with your donations to PayPal. All of that money 100% goes to me, whereas if you gave Super Chats, some of it goes to Google. But if you give to PayPal or Patreon, it all goes to me. And I use that money to go out here and pay artists like Mike Williams to design covers like John Haynes Godbreaker and John Haynes 1987, and also on artists like Antonio Balderi to do the John Haynes comic book. All of that money is used for SJS Direct projects and further building the business. And I also, again, use that also to make videos and streams like this, where I talk about men's issues and I talk about things like the man crisis and actors like Jonathan Majors, who are men in crisis. And I believe that Jonathan Majors definitely needs to go out here and pick up The Man Crisis on Amazon.com. I believe that book could help him out a long way. So if you guys want to learn more about what leads to men being in dysfunctional situations like this, you can pick up The Man Crisis on Amazon.com in paperback and Kindle format, and you can pick up that book and learn a lot from it. So I want to thank everybody for coming out to tonight's stream, and I really appreciate you supporting me, and I hope you'll be there for next week's stream. Everybody have a good evening, and everybody have a good night.